Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Josh Snipes. Wait, hold on. I didn't want to do gameplay for this video today. Let me switch it real quick. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. If you haven't seen my face before, hello. I wanted to do gameplay for today, but I kind of decided against it because I feel like this is more of a discussion video, and I wanted it to be a little bit more personal because I don't usually do these, and I wanted to try and see kind of the reaction. But anyways, with today's video, we're going to be taking a look at a topic that I've kind of been getting comments about. I've been getting comments about on my videos, and I thought it'd be interesting to kind of go over this. And the question for today, if you didn't already know from the title, is Maestro and Echo more of an intel operator or plant denial operator? Now, I understand that they are both. Let me get that out of the way first. They are technically both, but I'm saying, are they more intel first or are they plant denial first? So that was one of the biggest things that I wanted to talk about in today's video, because I feel like there's a really good discussion to be had, and I'm sure that it depends on how you define either one. So let's go ahead and hop right into it. Now, intel, when I refer to intel, I'm talking about cameras, any way for you to give intel. So think of like the cameras. So Echo and Maestros both have cams, Valkyrie cams, Pulse has his heartbeat scanner. Sometimes you can sort of count things like lesion mines going off, Ella mines going off, anything that kind of gives it position away of an enemy that you didn't already know was there. That's sort of the intel that I'm referring to. But I'm going to stick, for the sake of this, more towards the cameras and the actual live intel that you can get from like a pulse scanner or a camera. So that's going to be what I'm operating off of when I'm talking about intel. Now, when I'm talking about plant denial, I am talking about specifically actually stopping the plant, not sort of aiding or being able to do a tiny bit of damage or anything like that. I'm talking about, you think of like smokes, gas canisters, or like a C4. Those are great examples of plant denial. Now, how Maestro and Echo fit into that will be something we discuss throughout the video, but that's just kind of the things that I want to go over in this video. But I wanted to give you guys an idea of what I think these like sort of subcategories are. Now, if you haven't already seen the video, I'm going to leave it right here. This is the video that we were talking about all the different types of anchors and sort of what the roles they really have on defense and what I think and what they can do. So if that's what you're interested in, that's where you came from, welcome. But this is going to be one of the videos that I just kind of go off the nuance and kind of give my own opinion on different types of things like this. So without further ado, let's hop right into the topic. So first off, let's go over intel. Why I think that, or let's go over what I think. I think that Maestro and Echo both are intel first. I think that they're both intel first, and I think that they're plant denial second. More so, Echo is really more plant denial than Maestro, but I mean, that's just getting into sort of like a spectrum that just doesn't really matter. But one of the biggest things to me is that they are both intel, because half the time, I don't know if you've ever played at a higher level or if you've kind of watched people play. Most of the time when you're using an Echo, the Echo drone isn't really used, like the Echo Blast really isn't used before a bunch of other gadgets and gizmos and different things and throwables that get thrown into sight to try and deny it. A lot of the times you'll see a C4 or a smoke gas canister get thrown long before, because honestly, the Echo Blast, if you think of when the Echo drone jumps up on the ceiling and then shoots down onto the planter, it actually stops the plant. So most of the time, you're not going to be doing this unless, one, your teammates are not watching, and then you're the only chance at stopping the plant for that half second, 10, 15 seconds, you know what I mean? And that's if they go for like a rush plant and your team's not really ready for it. But most of the time, if the team is ready for it, you're waiting, a lot more times you're going to see C4s coming out, you're going to see smoke gas canisters coming out, and you're going to be seeing a lot of different utility getting used before the Echo drone. And who gives off all those calls? Who says where they are? Who gives off pings? That's going to be the Echo drone. So that's why I think that intel is more important on the side of Echo. I feel like he really shines as an intel operator first, and then plant denial second. Now, when I talk about his plant denial abilities, and I talk about, hey, he can take literally can take the planter off the plant. He can stop it entirely, and that has won rounds multiple times across many competitive and pro league type videos or type matches. And so one of the biggest things to me is that if you're able to stop the plant like that, that'll give you plant denial, but he doesn't do that normally during a regular round if there is other options available immediately. So that is why I think he's more intel first, plant denial second. Now, let's take a look at Maestro. Maestro is actually more of an interesting one than I feel like Echo, because Echo's kind of straightforward. He doesn't really have, other than like obviously the cameras being invisible and jumping up on the ceiling, other than that, doesn't really have a ton more else that's kind of stuff you don't really look at. Maestro is a different story. Maestro, on one hand, is intel, because think, he has a camera that you place on the wall, and then when you place it on the wall, you can't move it. It's not like an Echo drone, you know what I mean? You can't just go up and down and around the ceiling and stuff like that. Right where you place it is where it's going to stay. Sure, you can sort of shift the camera left and right, and sort of look around, but you're stuck on that wall surface, whatever it is that you put it on. It could even be the floor. And one of the biggest things to me is that when you're using a Maestro, especially, I'm going to use my example. I'm going to use an example of consulate basement, because some examples are a little bit more nuanced than others, but consulate basement is a great example. So consulate basement, normally people want to plant inside white car, and I'll give a diagram right here. They want to plant in front of the white van or even behind the white van. So a lot of times you might see a Maestro cam either on the ground on one of the corners in the basement, because you can see underneath all the cars and sort of give calls and ping and actually normally shock people while they're trying to plant. A lot of times they'll place it on the ground, and I've seen it kind of placed like sort towards the front of the garage, because the odds of you being able to peek that safely and get rid of a Maestro cam are sort of nil. And I don't think that you're gonna necessarily really have an issue where you place your Maestro cam, because the point of this is that he gives off intel to where they are planting. He's going to tell his team where they are planting. Most of the time, you can't use a whole Maestro sort of shock thing and actually kill someone, because 99% of the time you're going to overheat before the plant goes down, and therefore you're not going to end up downing the planter. I don't know if you can hear that on the camera, but that's really loud rain, and that doesn't only rain in Los Angeles. Anyways, one of the biggest things, though, is that he gives off the intel. He can't really shock and down someone. A lot of times, though, if, like, let's say your teammate took a gunfight with the planter earlier, and he knows that he is, like, at 20 HP, then Maestro can get the kill. But the plant denial to me is sort of having an effect. So if you actually down someone, that to me is plant denial, because you literally had an impact on the planter not being able to succeed. That to me is plant denial. But for Maestro, the problem is it's not consistent. You're not going to always have someone with really low HP. You're not going to always be able to down someone. Sometimes you will, but that's totally up to the situation at hand. And I think that one of the biggest things to me is that when you have him, you don't want to open up his camera every single chance you get. That's going to end up getting the camera shot, and then you just have no intel, because the camera can actually see through smoke, which is really, really useful, because a lot of teams like to use Capital, a lot of teams like to use Gridlock and Jackal, so it's a lot of smokes in this meta currently, even though it's not as bad as when Ying and Glaz were a thing. But people still like to use smokes a lot, especially in higher levels of play, because it gives some good visual cover. So if you have a Maestro cam that can see through the smoke, that's good intel. I don't think it counts as plant denial. But the problem is it revolves around where your definition of plant denial is. So let's wrap things up. Let's think about really quick. Let's wrap things up and figure out what all of this means. I think that they are intel first. Whether or not you agree with me, let me know down in the comments below. But I think that they're intel first, and I think that the plant denial part comes second. I think that there's other plant deniers that actually have an effect on whether or not the plant actually goes down. So that's an interesting fact first. Also, one of the key things about intel is that they give off calls for the rest of the team. They tell you sort of where they're playing from, how they're playing. Because when you think of Valkyrie, Valkyrie has cams probably all over the place, and is going to give you an idea of where the team's pushing from, give you an idea of if they're in sight, if they're not in sight, if they're trying to make an execute onto sight. That's all information that is needed that intel gives first. That's why I think that they're intel first, plant denial second. Technically speaking, they're both, but for the sake of this video and for the sake of the discussion, intel first, plant denial second. Anyways, guys, though, thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know if you like this video format. I don't plan on doing it all the time, but I think that it's kind of fun. I finally got the option on my camera. I was using it to record other videos for my other channel that I'm making, and so that was one of the things that I really wanted to use. I wanted to try the camera, see if you guys like this, but let me know down in the comments below if you think that Echo and Maestro are plant denial, or if you think they're intel first. I understand they're both, but one has to be over the other in terms of priorities, so let me know down in the comments below. Anyways, guys, that's going to wrap things up for today. This is going to be Josh Snipes signing off.